Sardines don't usually fail people. People fail sardines without realizing it. Not because they're unhealthy, but because a few small habits quietly change what they do in your body. Here's what makes this important. Sardines are one of the rare foods that are naturally low in mercury and rich in nutrients. People often lack as they get older. But those benefits are fragile. They depend heavily on how sardines are chosen, handled, and eaten. And that's where things go wrong. Most mistakes with sardines don't happen at the stove. They happen in the grocery aisle, in the fridge, or in the sink, seconds before eating. A simple choice, like the liquid they're packed in, what you do with the oil, or how long they sit after opening, can mean the difference between a nutrient-rich meal and something that tastes bad, loses value, or doesn't sit well. That's why sardines confuse so many people. One person eats them regularly and feels great. Another tries them once and never touches them again. The difference usually isn't the fish. It's what happens around the fish. In this video, we're going to break down the most common mistakes people make with sardines, not dramatic mistakes. Everyday ones that feel reasonable but slowly erase the benefits sardines are known for. Once you see these mistakes clearly, sardines stop being hit or miss. They become predictable, enjoyable, and genuinely useful for your health. And the first mistake is one almost everyone makes, often thinking they're doing the right thing. Now let's move towards the main part. But before that, make sure to like and subscribe this channel. We made this channel so you can improve your health and have a healthy comeback. Let's start with the kind of mistakes that don't look like mistakes at all. In fact, many people make these choices on purpose, believing they're doing something healthier, cleaner, or safer. But with sardines, those well-intended habits often do the opposite. They quietly remove the very nutrients sardines are known for. Mistake number 1. Removing the bones. With most fish, bones are something to avoid. They can be sharp, annoying, or even dangerous. So when people open a can of sardines and see tiny bones, the instinct is to pull them out. That instinct makes sense, but in this case, it's working against you. Sardine bones are completely different from the bones in larger fish. During the canning process, they're pressure cooked until they become soft and fully edible. Most people can't even tell where the meat ends and the bones begin. What is easy to miss is what those bones contain. They're one of the richest natural sources of calcium you can get from food. Not from a pill, not from a fortified product, from a real whole food. Along with calcium, those bones also provide vitamin D and phosphorus, nutrients that help your body actually use the calcium instead of just passing it through. This matters more with age. Bone density naturally declines over time. Muscles rely on calcium to contract properly. Nerves use it to transmit signals. When you remove the bones, you're not making sardines cleaner or safer. You're removing one of their biggest advantages. Many people who say sardines don't do much for them are unknowingly eating a version stripped of its most powerful mineral. Mistakes 2. Choosing water-packed sardines instead of oil-packed. This mistake usually happens in the grocery store. You're standing in front of the shelf comparing labels. One can says packed in water. Another says packed in olive oil. The water option feels lighter, simpler, and more health-conscious. But that choice comes with trade-offs most people don't realize. Sardines are naturally fatty fish. That's a good thing. Their healthy fats, especially omega-3s, are part of what support heart health, brain function, and inflammation control. When sardines are packed in oil, especially olive oil, that oil protects those fats. It slows oxidation, preserves texture, and keeps the fish moist over time. It also improves absorption of fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, and E once you eat them. Water can't do any of that. Sardines packed in water tend to dry out faster. Their natural oils break down more quickly, which is why water-packed sardines often taste dull, metallic, or overly fishy. Nutritionally, you're also losing efficiency, because without fat, your body doesn't absorb certain nutrients as well. Yes, oil-packed sardines contain more calories, but they're calories that work with your body, not against it. For most people, the difference is small, and the benefit is significant. If sardines have ever tasted disappointing to you, this choice may be the reason. Mistakes 3. Rinsing sardines before eating them. This one surprises a lot of people. Rinsing sardines feels logical. Maybe you want to remove excess oil. Maybe you're trying to cut down on salt. Maybe you think it will make them taste fresher. But rinsing sardines washes away more than you think. When sardines sit in oil, brine, or sauce, there's a slow exchange happening. Flavor moves into the liquid. Nutrients move into the liquid. Omega-3s, minerals, and fat-soluble vitamins don't stay locked inside the fish forever. When you rinse sardines under running water, you rinse away part of that exchange. You lose flavor. You lose nutrition. And you often ruin the texture at the same time. Oil and water don't mix, so rinsed sardines tend to fall apart, feel slippery, and look less appealing. Instead of improving the eating experience, rinsing usually makes it worse. And here's the part most people miss about salt. The sodium in sardines isn't just sitting on the surface. It's absorbed into the fish during the canning process. Rinsing doesn't remove most of it. A better approach is choosing low-sodium varieties or balancing the rest of your meal. Rinsing feels like control, but it's mostly illusion. Mistake 4. Buying deboned sardines and thinking they're better. Some brands sell deboned sardines at a higher price. The packaging often makes them seem more refined or premium. But deboning sardines usually damages the fish. They break apart more easily. Their texture suffers. And, of course, the calcium-rich bones are gone. You're often paying more money for a product that's less nutritious and less intact. Whole sardines with bones are closer to how this food is meant to be eaten. All of these mistakes have something in common. They remove parts of the sardine that make it valuable in the first place, and they're usually done with good intentions. Once you stop making them, sardines start to make more sense. They taste better, they feel more satisfying, and they deliver the nutrition people expect but often don't get. Next, we'll move away from nutrition and look at storage and handling mistakes, the kind that can affect freshness, flavor, and even safety if you're not careful. Now let's talk about what happens after the can is opened, because this is where sardines either stay enjoyable or slowly lose what makes them worth eating. This isn't about danger, it's about quality. Once a can is opened, sardines are exposed to air, and air changes things. Not all at once, but gradually. The healthy fats inside sardines are sensitive. Over time, air dulls flavor and slowly weakens the omega-3s people value most. You don't need to think in technical terms. Just know this. Freshness has a clock once the can is open. That clock runs faster for some sardines than others. Sardines packed in water tend to lose quality sooner. Sardines packed in oil hold up better. Sauce-packed varieties fall somewhere in between. These aren't hard rules, just patterns that help you decide what still tastes good and what doesn't. One habit that makes a big difference is where sardines sit after opening. Leaving them in the open metal can isn't ideal, not because it's dangerous, but because it affects taste. Once exposed to air, the metal can contribute a flat, metallic note over time. That's often what people mean when they say sardines taste off. The fix is simple and effective. Transfer leftovers along with their oil or sauce into a clean, airtight container. Glass works especially well. Seal it. Refrigerate it. That single step preserves flavor, texture, and freshness far better than leaving them in the can. Another quiet factor is storage environment. Unopened sardines last a long time when kept cool and dry, but heat and sunlight slowly age them. Cans stored near stoves, windows, or warm shelves lose quality faster, even before the date on the label. Think of sardines like olive oil. They don't spoil easily, but they do age. This is also where expiration dates come in, not as a source of worry, but as a checkpoint. A clean, undamaged can stored properly is usually fine. A can that's bulging, leaking, or heavily rusted isn't worth gambling on. That's just basic food sense, not fear. Here's one of the most helpful habits you can adopt, and it takes seconds. When you open a can and don't finish it, write the date on the container. That removes all guesswork later. No sniff tests, no second guessing. You know exactly where you stand. This isn't about being strict. It's about staying relaxed and confident. Handled this way, sardines remain what they're supposed to be: simple, reliable, and enjoyable. In the next section, we'll move away from storage altogether and talk about taste, specifically why so many people think they dislike sardines and how pairing choices usually make all the difference. Why sardines taste too strong. This is where many people give up on sardines entirely. They try them once, decide they're too strong or too fishy, and never come back. But in most cases, that reaction isn't about the sardines themselves. It's about how they're being eaten. Sardines are a bold food. They're rich, savory, and naturally oily. When they're eaten on their own straight from the can, with nothing to balance them, that richness can feel overwhelming. That doesn't mean something is wrong. It means the food needs contrast. Think about foods people already understand. Cheese is rich, so it's paired with fruit or bread. Fatty meats are balanced with vegetables or acidity. Sardines work the same way. One of the most common mistakes is only eating sardines plain. It's convenient, yes, but it doesn't show what sardines can really taste like. Eaten this way, the oil and salt hit all at once and the flavor has nothing to push against it. When sardines are paired correctly, their flavor changes dramatically. Acid is the first key, a squeeze of lemon, a splash of vinegar, tomatoes or pickled vegetables. These don't hide the sardine flavor, they sharpen it. They cut through the richness and make the fish taste cleaner and brighter. Freshness is the second key. Herbs like parsley, dill, cilantro, or even green onions add lift. They keep sardines from feeling heavy and make each bite feel lighter. Texture matters too. Sardines paired with something crisp or firm toast, crackers, fresh vegetables, feel more balanced than sardines eaten alone. The contrast makes the richness feel intentional instead of overpowering. Another mistake is assuming all sardines taste the same. They don't. Where the fish come from, when they're caught, and how they're packed all affect flavor. Sardines from cooler waters often taste cleaner and firmer. Those from warmer waters can be softer and richer. Oil-packed sardines develop deeper flavor over time, while water-packed ones often taste flatter. If you didn't like one can, that doesn't mean you don't like sardines. It may simply mean you didn't like that sardine. Trying a different origin, packing style, or brand can completely change the experience. There's also a pairing mistake that goes the other direction, adding too much richness. Heavy cream sauces, thick cheese layers, or very sweet toppings tend to clash with sardines. Instead of balancing the oil, they stack on top of it, making the dish feel heavy and tiring. Sardines do best when they're allowed to shine, not smothered. When paired thoughtfully, sardines stop tasting fishy. They taste savory, satisfying, and surprisingly clean. This is why people who eat sardines regularly often enjoy them more over time. Taste adapts. What once felt strong starts to feel familiar, even comforting. In the next section, we'll look at the single most costly mistake people make with sardines, one that throws away both flavor and nutrition without realizing it. This next mistake is the one that wastes the most. Not money, not safety, but nutrition and flavor you already paid for. It happens the moment the can is opened. People drain the oil and pour it away. Not because they dislike sardines, but because it feels automatic. Oil looks messy. It feels unnecessary. And many people assume it's something they're better off without. But with sardines, that oil isn't extra. It's part of the food. During storage, sardines and the oil they're packed in slowly exchange nutrients. The fish releases natural omega-3 fats into the oil. Fat-soluble vitamins like vitamin D and vitamin E migrate there as well. Flavor compounds do the same. By the time you open the can, that liquid isn't just oil anymore. It's concentrated sardine nutrition. When you drain it away, you're not making the meal cleaner. You're separating the fish from part of what makes it nourishing and satisfying. This is also why drained sardines often feel dry or flat. The balance is gone before you even take a bite. Keeping the oil doesn't mean eating a heavy, greasy meal. It means using the oil intentionally. A small drizzle works because the oil carries flavor evenly. It softens sharpness, improves texture, and helps your body absorb nutrients that rely on fat to be used properly. That's why the oil works so well with vegetables, grains, or bread. It doesn't overpower them. It spreads the sardine flavor gently and makes the whole meal feel complete instead of harsh. People who stop draining the oil often notice something surprising. The sardines taste less fishy, not more. That's because dryness exaggerates strong flavors. When the oil stays, the taste rounds out. Now, a word on balance, because clarity matters. Sardines are nutrient-dense. That's their strength. But it also means moderation and choice matter. Like with any rich food, if you're watching sodium, choosing low-salt varieties helps. If you've been advised to limit pureeing-rich foods, portion size matters. That doesn't cancel sardines, it just puts them in context. For most people, though, the biggest issue isn't eating sardines too often. It's eating them stripped of their value. Once you stop draining the oil and start treating it as part of the meal, sardines stop feeling like a compromise. They become reliable, satisfying, and consistent. And that leads directly to the final step, bringing everything together so sardines stop feeling confusing and start feeling easy to enjoy. At this point, one thing should be clear. Sardines aren't difficult. They've just been misunderstood. Most problems people have with sardines don't come from the fish itself. They come from a handful of habits that slowly change what sardines are supposed to offer. Once you remove those habits, everything simplifies. You don't need special recipes. You don't need complicated rules. You don't need to force yourself to like them. You just need to stop undoing their value. When sardines are kept whole with their bones, their oil, and their natural balance, they deliver exactly what they promise: steady protein, healthy fats, calcium, vitamins that support the heart, brain, and bones. Handled properly, sardines are predictable. They taste clean, not overpowering. They feel satisfying, not heavy. They sit well, not uncomfortable. That's the real advantage here, not perfection, but reliability. Instead of guessing whether a can will taste good, you know how to choose one. Instead of wondering if you should eat them, you understand what makes them work. Instead of avoiding them because of one bad experience, you know how to prevent that from happening again. This is what changes long-term habits. Not willpower, not rules, but understanding. Sardines are one of the few foods that check many boxes at once: affordable, shelf-stable, nutrient-dense, and flexible. When they're treated correctly, they become an easy part of regular eating instead of something you debate or avoid. And that's the point of everything we've covered. Not to make you eat more sardines, but to make sure that if you eat them, you get what you came for. If this helped clarify something you've been unsure about, feel free to share your experience or questions below. We're building a community here for strong comebacks, so subscribe, hit the bell icon. You don't want to miss what's coming next. If this was helpful and you want to support the effort behind it, give this video a like and share it with someone you love. Join me in the next video. I've got more surprises waiting for you.